There's a photograph two women posted on the same day, in the same cream blazer, same size, same store, same season. One received 40 comments asking where she found it. The other received none at all. I want to show you exactly what happened in the 20 minutes between the fitting room and the front door because the blazer never changed. 6 decisions did. And each one is small enough that almost nobody would notice it consciously, and large enough that everyone notices the result. This is the same principle that made Grace Kelly's tailoring so quietly unforgettable, never the fabric itself, always the 7 or 8 decisions made around it. Diane von Furstenberg said something similar once, that the dress should fit the woman, not the other way around. Nobody photographs a blazer. They photograph the way it sits on a particular set of shoulders, on a particular afternoon, and they remember the feeling long after they've forgotten the label. Consider the first decision. 2 women, same blazer, standing in front of the same mirror an hour before an event they'd both been invited to. The first pulls the blazer straight off the hanger and puts it on exactly as it was sold to her. Sleeves at full length, shoulders unadjusted, buttoned to the top. The second has already been to a tailor once for 15 minutes, and the difference is a shoulder seam that sits precisely at the edge of her shoulder bone instead of an inch past it, and sleeves that stop exactly at the wrist bone instead of covering half the hand. The secret is in 3 measurements. First, the shoulder seam. Anything more than half an inch beyond your natural shoulder reads as borrowed, not owned. Second, sleeve length. The cuff should reveal the wrist bone completely, never sit past it because a covered wrist quietly ages the whole silhouette. Third, the button stance. The lowest button should fall at or just above the natural waist, never below it, or the torso reads long and unstructured. Apply it like this. Cream blazer, sleeve hemmed to the wrist bone, worn open over a silk camisole rather than buttoned to the collarbone. That single adjustment is the reason one woman's blazer looked custom and the other's looked purchased. And people responded to it exactly the way they respond to anything that looks intentional. They assumed competence before she said a word. But the shoulders were only the beginning. What happened underneath the blazer mattered just as much, and it's the piece almost every woman gets wrong first. Picture the second scene. Both women are getting dressed for a lunch and both reach for the same blazer, but one pairs it with a loose cotton t-shirt underneath, and the other reaches for a silk shell in a tone 1 shade lighter than her skin. From 3 feet away this looks like a trivial choice. From across a restaurant, it is the entire difference between she threw this on and she considered this. The secret is in what a loose knit does to a structured jacket. It fights it. Structure needs structure underneath, or contrast that's deliberate rather than accidental. First, choose a fabric with drape, not stretch silk, fine wool, or a heavyweight cotton poplin, never a soft cotton tee. Second, keep the underlayer a full shade lighter or darker than the blazer, never the identical tone, so the eye can register 2 intentional layers instead of 1 confused one. Third, tuck it even loosely, so the waistline reads as a decision, not an accident. Applied. The cream blazer over a champagne silk camisole, tucked lightly into tailored trousers. It photographs like a woman who dressed for herself first and the room second. And that, more than anything, is what reads as money. Here's the part almost nobody mentions, and it's the one that separates women who look expensive from women who look wealthy, because those are not the same thing. Metal. Specifically, what happens at the wrist, the ear, and the blazer's own buttons. One woman wore gold hoops, a silver watch, and the blazer's original tortoiseshell buttons, 3 different materials competing quietly for attention. The other had swapped nothing about the jacket, but she wore gold throughout. Gold hoops, a gold link watch, a single gold cuff. Same blazer. Entirely different signal. The secret sits in 3 quiet rules. First, pick one metal family and commit to it fully for the day, gold or silver. Never split evenly between them. Second, if the blazer's hardware doesn't match your chosen metal, cover it, a scarf at the collar, a brooch at the lapel, rather than letting mismatched buttons argue with your jewelry. Third, less is not the goal, coherences. 4 gold pieces read as intentional. 1 gold and 1 silver piece reads as an oversight. Applied. Gold hoops, a single gold cuff bracelet and a slim gold watch, nothing else. The blazer's buttons, tortoiseshell, sit quietly in the background because everything else agrees with each other. And that agreement is exactly what a room reads as confidence, long before anyone consciously registers why. There's a 4th difference, and it has nothing to do with what either woman put on. It's about what she took care of before she ever left the house. Fabric condition. The first blazer had been worn 11 times and washed at home, and it showed a slight shine at the elbows, a crease across the back that never fully released, a button thread starting to loosen. The second blazer was the exact same style, worn just as often, but dry cleaned and steamed before every single wear. The secret is that fabric care is the most invisible marker of quality, and the most expensive looking one. First, steam before every wear, not just special occasions. A steamed blazer holds its structure for the entire day instead of collapsing by noon. Second, never machine wash a blazer with any wool or wool blend content. It's the single fastest way to age a garment by years in one cycle. Third, check the buttons and the lining seams once a season. Loose threads are the detail that, more than anything else, separates well-kept from worn out. Applied. A 5-minute steam before the door, every time, treated as non-negotiable as makeup. It costs nothing, and it's the reason one blazer still looked new at wear 40 and the other looked tired at wear 12. Think of it the way the Row treats its own showroom samples, pressed before every single fitting, no exceptions, because the house understands that a wrinkle reads as neglect no matter how good the cut was to begin with. The fifth code is the one most women skip because it feels unnecessary, and it's the one stylists notice before anything else in the outfit. The third element. Not the blazer, not what's underneath it, the piece that sits on top of both. One woman wore the blazer alone. The other added a silk scarf knotted loosely at the neck, in a burgundy that pulled from nowhere else in her outfit except her lipstick. The secret is that a third element signals deliberation in a way that two pieces alone cannot. First, choose something that repeats a color already present somewhere small on your body: lipstick, the inside of a bag, a ring, so it reads as coordinated rather than added. Second, keep it light in weight and asymmetrical in placement. A heavy, centered accessory competes with the blazer instead of complementing it. Third, one third element is elegant. Two starts to look costumed. Applied. A burgundy silk scarf, knotted low and loose at the collarbone, echoing a burgundy lipstick and nothing else. It took 4 seconds to add, and it was the single most complimented detail of the entire outfit. And the final difference is the one you cannot buy, cannot borrow, and cannot fake for more than a few seconds, which is exactly why it matters most. How she moved in it. The first woman kept adjusting the blazer all evening, tugging the hem, crossing her arms over the buttons, visibly aware of the jacket the entire time. The second woman put it on once at home and never touched it again. She sat, she gestured, she laughed, entirely unconcerned with whether it was behaving. The secret is that a garment worn with unconscious ease reads as belonging to someone, while a garment that requires constant adjustment reads as borrowed, however expensive it actually was. First, do all your fitting checks before you leave the house, not in public. A single glance in a mirror at home saves you from touching the jacket all night. Second, keep your hands away from the hem and buttons entirely once you're dressed. Every adjustment broadcasts uncertainty. Third, let your shoulders fall back and down rather than forward. The posture the blazer was tailored for in the first place. Applied. Nothing really, that's the point. The tailoring, the layering, the metal, the fabric care, the scarf, all of it exists so that by the time she walks into the room she can forget the blazer entirely. And that forgetting is what a room reads as authority. At 50, you already understand something most 20-year-olds are still guessing at. That elegance was never about the price tag on the label. It's about the 20 minutes of decisions nobody sees. You've had decades to learn what suits you, what needs adjusting, and what to simply stop touching. That's not a disadvantage. That's the entire advantage. Somewhere in Milan, in Paris, in a closet you'll never see, a woman is proving this same point tonight without a single designer name in sight. Just a shoulder seam that sits where it should, a metal family she never breaks, and a fabric she took the time to steam. Presence was never about being seen trying. It's about being seen finished. The same blazer will hang in 2 different closets tonight, and only one of them will make someone stop mid-sentence tomorrow and ask where she found it. Now you know exactly which 6 decisions decide that. Which of these 6 would you change first? The tailoring, the layering, or the metal? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe for weekly style codes made specifically for women who already know they deserve to be noticed.